Hi guys, welcome to Emerald Coast Family Gaming. My name is Bill, and today I'm going to do a video on how I process my audio when Chris and I record, and how I separate it from the video and then process it through Audacity and then reattach it to the video. Fairly simple, straightforward process, and there are a ton of videos on YouTube on how to do and use Audacity, and I did a ton of research. Some of them you can tell just copied each other. I'm going to show you what I use and the reasoning of why I use the steps that I use. And also, I want to talk about some of the steps that I don't use that other people recommend that you should use. So let's get into it. First thing you're going to need to do is record a video. Record it in whatever software that you normally record in. Then you want to get a free program called VLC Media Player. You want to open that, go down to Convert and Save. I'm going to add whatever video it is that you are going to convert, and today I just wanted to use one we recorded a couple of days ago. You want to click Convert and Save, and then you want to choose how you want it converted. You want it to be an MP3 file. That way you can play it in Audacity. You're going to browse to wherever you want it to be, and in this case I'm going to put it right back where it was. Give it a name so you know what it is. And that was a Gladiator game, so I'm just going to call it Gladiator. Because basically once I use this file and get it into the video, I throw this file away. So I don't hang on to them forever, so it doesn't really matter what I name it. Then you click Start. And what should happen, you can see it's processing right here. And it takes it a couple of minutes to process all the way through. So I'm going to let it do its thing, and I will see you guys back in a minute. Alright, VLC Media Player has finished processing. All it has done is separated the audio and the video and given you a MP3 file. If you go back to the original video that you've taken, the audio is still there. So I'm going to show you a little bit later how to separate those two in your editing program. But right now I'm done with the VLC Media Player. And you can see it put the Gladiator audio for this video in the same folder, and that's where I asked it to put it. Next thing I'm going to do, go into Audacity. Going to open Audacity and find the folder that I just did, which is way over here. And then scroll down to it and click Open. Now Audacity is a really strong program, can do a ton of different things, but I'm only going to use it for some basics. Now you can see there's the complete audio. I can go up here to the magnify screen and I can expand it by left clicking or condense it by right clicking. And then once you've got it to the size you want to where you can see things, you can then select the little, it's like a big eye there. It's a selection tool, so that way I can now highlight parts of the audio. What you see right here is a part of the video where we got really, really loud. Either somebody laughed or something funny happened. And you can start the cursor there and play it if you want. Please, things are good. You got a beacon out. Yeah, I have the video or the audio turned kind of down so it doesn't appear to be loud, but you can see in the waveform it is very, very loud. So that's something that we're going to try to reduce so that you don't get that sudden shock when you hear that in the audio. And then likewise, you see what happens directly after it. It's super, super low. So I've got some steps that I go through, and I saw these on a couple of different videos. The video that I saw, and I actually don't recall who has done it, otherwise I would link that in the description as well. But they recommended that you go through just a 5-step process. This is a pretty common thing that everyone tells you to do, is to find a part of the video, the audio rather, where you are silent, and then go to Effects, go to Noise Reduction, get the noise, and then highlight the entire segment. I do that by hitting Control A, and then go back to noise reduction and click OK, and it takes out whatever noise you highlighted. In my case, I'm pretty sure that was just clicks of the keyboard. Now it will reduce those whenever you're silent, but if I'm talking, it can't reduce through my talking. So if I'm talking and you're hearing the keyboard rather, that's because the program can't get rid of that sound while I'm talking. But as soon as I'm silent, and if I continue to click on the keyboard, it will make that sound go away. And you can use that for fan noise, keyboard clips. The wind's blowing outside, you may be able to hear that in the background. That's something I could get rid of. But you can see now the line is flat, so it got rid of those sounds. So once you've got that done, the next thing that you're going to do is called compress. And the compressor, this was never explained in the videos, and was it just compress them? What the compressor does is it reduces the range to permit the audio to be amplified further without clipping. What clipping means is that these that go above the little edge right there, those sounds are clipped, and you'll be able to hear that if we got super loud there. We just barely got loud, so you can't really tell, but it'll distort when it gets loud. What the compressor will do is it will actually increase the volume without amplifying the volume. So you'll see the waveforms actually go up. So we're going to go into compressor. I use the default settings. You can mess around with these to get a sound that you like, but I found that they work for me. And it'll take it a second or so to process, and then what you will see is all the waveforms will change just slightly. But it should push that real tall one down and increase some of the lower ones. You see it became a little bit lower, so now it's not clipped near as bad, which means it won't distort, but some of these other lower ones got increased. So that's what the compressor does. After I compress it, then I go in and equalize it. Now the video that I watched recommended that you bass boost and treble boost. I find that to be useless, because if you increase them both, there's no real difference in the sound. Me being a kid of the 70s, and by kid I mean teenager in the 70s, everything had a lot of bass to it back then. So anybody or everybody that had an equalizer in their car stereo really would crank up the bass. And that was before they added the little button to bass boost on modern stereos. Okay, so now we have it bass boosted. If you want to increase the treble, go for it. You can do it the exact same way. Just go into the equalization. You can select treble boost and increase the treble. What I found for me, increasing the treble really makes the way that I pronounce words that end in S. You can really hear the S sound. It makes it a very hard S. It could be my accent. It just could be the way that I pronounce words. So I don't like what the treble does for my voice. So that's why I don't use it, but you're definitely free to use it. And if it works for you, go for it. The next thing I'm going to do after I have increased the bass out of the equalization, I'm going to go down to normalize. Normalize will, looking at the definition, it sets the peak amplitude of a single track and makes the multiple tracks have the same amplitude. And basically what that means is, see, we have multiple tracks here. It makes both the tracks have the same peaks and valleys. If you remember before I started this, each of the tracks were slightly different. It's because I sit on the left-hand side of the microphone. Chris sits on the right-hand side. So in a true stereo environment, what you would have is, listening to it, I would sound more predominantly in one ear of your headphone, and Chris will sound more predominantly in the other side of the earphones. But in our case, you're just listening to two guys talk, so we want them to be very similar. So that's what the normalization does. It makes both tracks sound the same, or sound very similar anyway. Next thing I'm going to do after I've normalized it is I'm going to go down here to the bottom and scroll up, because I need to get to the limiter. And what the limiter will do, and we're going to go with hard limit. There's different things that you can select, but we're doing the hard limit. What the hard limit will do is some of these peaks that are really way up there, it's going to cut them off basically without distorting them. And you can see it made those two really tall ones there drop down. So now when you listen to it, it doesn't sound quite as loud. And the very last thing we're going to do is one more normalize. So now let's put everything up to a little bit more of an audible volume so that I have a little bit more control over it. Now there are a couple other things that sometimes I end up doing. I may go through the track and actually amplify if Chris is talking really, really low, because he tends to talk low. Sometimes I get too far from the microphone and I'm talking low, so I have to go through and amplify certain sections. And what I can do, like for that section there, I just go back into the effects, go up to amplify, and I can amplify it. Now this little thing that says allow clipping, if I have to amplify it too much, it'll actually get to the point where it's going to distort. And I can tell it, okay, make it distort because I need the volume to be up on everything else that we said. Or I can choose something. I usually try to keep it in the 7 or 8 decibel range. You can see now it got louder without distorting. It makes it look like the little segment there is directly to the right of it. Now on a clip as long as this one, because this clip is a 30-minute clip, it can be a pain to go through and individually amplify certain sections. So I sometimes don't do that. There is a program that's called Levelator that will do that for me, to where it will go in and go through the entire clip and make everything be the same volume based on the highest volume item throughout that clip. That's good if we don't get super excited and scream and yell and laugh. But if there's a lot of screaming and yelling and laughing in the video, then it kind of takes away from the effect of that sudden scream or laugh, because the words become as loud as those are, so you don't really notice the difference. But it is effective when there's not a lot of screaming and laughing, to get the volume up so that Chris's volume will match mine. If you only have a single speaker, then it's not a big deal, because you can increase the volume or increase the amplification of the entire video. So once I'm done with that, then I go over here, go to export audio. I need it to be exported back as an MP3. And what I'm going to tell it to do, tell it where I want it to go. And basically what I do is I have it replace the MP3 that it's working off of. So go where the folder is that you've got the original and just put it back into it. You can see there's already one named Gladiator. I'm just going to let it overwrite that file. And it'll take it a few seconds to save it, and then I'll have an MP3 that has corrected audio in it. And then the easy part is just reattaching it to the video. And you do that in your video editing software. And I don't need to save that file, because what it's wanting to do is save it as an Audacity file so that you can continue to work on it. I don't need to do that because I'm done with it. All right, then we're going to go into our software editing program. We're going to import the two elements that we need, one being the video, and then of course the other one being the audio. All right, once you've got the elements imported, just drag into the timeline. This works in Sony Vegas. In there you have the audio that was originally with the video. Now I'm going to drag the other audio down here just so you can see the differences, and you can see that there is definite differences in the audio. This is the processed audio I did at the bottom, and there at the top you can see the waveforms are significantly different. So the one at the bottom is going to sound better than the one at the top. Now what you do is you simply delete that track with the original audio. Now the problem is you can see that they move separate from each other, and that can be a pain in editing. Once you go to, like you can see, I've got up my original screen right there, and that's definitely not something I'm going to show, so I have to edit that. But I want the sound to start at the same place, and so that way the sound matches up with the sounds when we open chests and get into battles and that type of thing. And what you do is real simple. You just hold shift and then click on the 2 tracks, and then right click on your mouse. You're going to go down to group and create a new group. Now what I have is the 2 things will move together, and then when I go to edit, I can either do them separately or together. And then I can edit to wherever I want to start. And that's all I got to do. Then I can edit however I want. The 2 tracks will remain together. I can move them around however I need to. I've got the processed audio. And that is how I process the audio. The only other thing I didn't talk about or show in this video that I normally do, or could possibly normally do, in Audacity. So I'm going to bring up Audacity one more time. All right, we're back in Audacity. Let's open something. Going back to Gladiator again, the same one we just did. And this one is the one that's already been processed. Because remember, I had to overwrite the original program. Let's say as you're listening to it and you find a place where you cough, or you have a sound that goes on in the background, your parents knock on your door, or the dog barks, the cat meows, and you're not talking at that point, and you want that sound to go away. It's real simple. You just get the waveform magnified to where you can actually see it. Let's say if we want to just get rid of that, whatever that sound is, go to generate, hit silence, and it'll go away. And what it does is now you have a silent part there. There'll be no background noise at all. It works good for that cough or that sneeze or whatever. And if you don't have a partner that's talking at the point that you cough or sneeze, it's real easy to get rid of it so you don't sound as unprofessional. I know a lot of people like their audios to be really authentic and raw, and this is how I talk and this is how I sound. But there are some people that actually just are put off by that. So I try to, if I can, get rid of the clearing of the throats and the coughs and all that. Sometimes I can't because someone else is talking, and then you just end up missing what that person's saying. But if I'm able to, I'll just get rid of them, just because I think it takes away from either the story that we're telling or the video that we're playing or the game, whatever we're doing. So that's another thing you can do. And there's a ton of things. Just play with it up here. The effects, you can go in and put reverb on it so it sounds very echoey, like you're in a porcelain chamber of some sort, or you can make it sound like you're in a cave. You can amplify. You can change the pitch so you sound like a chipmunk, or you can slow it down to where you sound very demonic. Very versatile program. You can do a whole lot with it, and it's a free program. So there you guys have it. If you have any questions about how I do this, definitely leave them in the comments below. We enjoy reading all y'all's comments. I can't tell you how thankful we are that you guys have found us and are talking to us and watching our videos. Please, if you like this and want me to continue showing you how I do things, let me know in the comments below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.